So 10-day-old baby talking to astrologers, that is impossible. So this was the speciality of the Tiger King. Maharaja only will kill the tiger and nobody else will kill the tiger. That means the tiger is not killed by the Maharaja. The astrologer's prediction had come true. Confiscated means to grab, to take it with authority. Flout, to go against something or someone. Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to all the young minds of Class 12 CBSE. I am Dr. Shalini, your English teacher at Prep School. Today we are here to understand one of the funny lessons from your Vistas, that is the Tiger King. It's really very funny. I enjoyed reading it and this is one of my favorite lessons now. Okay, so let us understand what we have in today's session. So we'll be understanding about the author first who has written it. Then we'll go to the summary. We have a small theme to understand. After that, we'll understand the new words and phrases that are used in this lesson by the author. Okay, so let us understand about the author first. Okay, so he is Kalki. Okay, so he is a very famous writer. His pen name is Kalki and his actual name is Ramaswamy Iyer Krishnaswamy. Okay, so he's a Tamil writer. He was a journalist also. Okay, so he used to write for newspapers. He was a poet, he was a critic, he was a short story writer and also a novelist. So he was also involved in independence struggle also. Okay, so he was an independence activist. Then he has a very large account of his writings. He had written 120 short stories. He has written 10 novelettes. Novelettes are very short novels, okay? Not very big books, very small ones, okay? So he has written 10 novelettes. They are also called as novellas, okay? So he has 5 novels into his account and 3 historical romances, okay? So that means history is involved in his writings. And apart from that, he has written some editorial and also political writings. And he has also reviewed many music as well as some films also. Okay, so hundreds of films and music reviews also he has written. So this is a short account of Kalki. Okay, so let us understand the summary of this lesson. I would want you to concentrate so that you'll understand each and every small detail here. Okay, so we'll start with the first part of the story now. So this story is about this Maharaja of Pratibandhapuram. He is actually the protagonist of this story. That means he leads. He is the leading character there. So this is about a king who is there in this story. So he had many titles. This king had many titles. Okay. So let me not mention, but it was actually shortened. So the many titles, whatever he had, it was actually shortened and it was given as the Tiger King. So the shortest title he had, that is he has put together all the titles and he himself has assumed this title, the Tiger King. So why is this Tiger King? We will get to know when we go to the end. What is this Tiger King all about? So what happens, even this bombing aircraft, if at all he stood there in front of it, okay, so even a bombing aircraft would just go back. Okay, so you might be imagining some movies, like, isn't it, some Hollywood, Bollywood movies you might be getting into your mind, isn't it? So yes, now only you start feeling that this story is very funny, but it is actually a satire. Okay, it is, nowadays you call it as sarcasm, right? So more or less the same thing. That pride what was maintained by this king. Why did all this happen is the question. So what happens when he was born? Astrologers predict that this Tiger King would die very soon. So like the author says, what is special in that? Whoever is born has to die, right? So what's special about this Tiger King dying? So it is actually very special because the way he was supposed to die, so that is actually mentioned by the astrologers. That was the special thing over there. So when he was born after 10 days, okay, the 10-day-old baby, that only speaks to the astrologers. Yes, that is really surprising, isn't it? So 10-day-old baby talking to astrologers, that is impossible. So this was the speciality of the Tiger King. So that was the only special thing that happened in his life. That is the Tiger King's life. Okay, so I'll be calling this Tiger King either as Maharaja when I talk about him, or I'll also be telling him as Tiger King. Okay, so need not get confused. Okay, so the way he was dying was actually special. So this 10-day-old baby says that I will not die. What you have predicted will go wrong. So what did the astrologers predict in that way? So astrologers predict that he would die due to a tiger only. So he would be killed by the 100th tiger. Okay, in that kingdom you can call it. Okay, so the 100th tiger would kill him. So this 10-day-old baby said, I will prove this prediction wrong. So that is what the baby talks. Okay, so every astrologer who had come there was actually surprised to see a 10-day-old baby talking. So they were all thinking that yes, this prediction may go wrong if he continues the same. Okay, so he was brought up by English governess, means there is nobody to take care of him, so he was put into the English governess care. Okay, that means that time the caretakers were people used to be dedicated to bring up a child. Okay, so that time English governess took care of this Maharaja, and the story of Tiger King was actually true. This is a true story, says the author. Okay, the events that have happened here, so all that is true is what the author says there. Okay, so let us move on further. What happens next? Okay, so Maharaja started on a tiger hunt. Why does he start hunting the tigers? That is because it is predicted that he will be killed by the 100th tiger. He thought, if I kill all the tigers in the kingdom, if I kill the first 100 tigers, then I am safe. So he thinks like that, and he starts killing the tigers. He starts hunting the tigers. Okay, so to start with, he starts with many tigers there. He asked what would happen if he killed all the tigers. Okay, so he was thinking like that. His assumption was like that. Then he tells, what will happen if I kill all the 100 tigers? All the tigers that are present in this kingdom. So there will be no tiger to kill him, right? So he is safe. So that means he will not die at all. So that is what he thinks over there. Okay, so nobody was allowed to kill the tiger, that is hunt the tiger in that kingdom. Nobody was allowed to go for hunting only, because tiger hunting was reserved for this Maharaja only. Okay, so in that way, everybody was stopped from hunting. So yes, people thought it is meaningless, but then they got to know the reason and they were all okay with it. Okay, so that means everybody was obeying whatever stupidity this Maharaja was doing. Okay, nobody was allowed to kill the tiger there. Then he faced problems when he went for hunting. He used to face lot of problems. Maybe the tiger would come chasing him or something like that. So many problems he used to face, but he had a very strong army and he used to overcome that. Okay, so one day what happens, a British officer comes to hunt a tiger. Okay, but he was stopped. So even a British officer who had come to hunt the tiger was actually stopped. Okay, because the rule was Maharaja only will kill the tiger and nobody else will kill the tiger. Okay, because he has to kill 100 tigers, right? So Maharaja would kill all the tigers, was the rule there. So even the British officer was not allowed. But what happens, British officer wanted only a photograph, means the tiger he has killed, and with that he just wanted a photograph. So the Maharaja understands the intention of British officers and he tells, if I kill and you giving a pose, that would be fine. Okay, so this is what happens over there. So Maharaja was actually in the threat of losing his throne because he stopped that officer from hunting. You know, that time British officers were there to rule us. Okay, so here also British officer comes there. He was stopped from hunting the tiger. So that time he was about to lose his throne. Okay, so this Maharaja was in a threat of losing his throne. But what does he do? He patches up things. Maharaja patches up things. How does he patch up things? That is, the king sends a few rings. Okay, so the rings that you wear to your fingers, right? So that one he sends to the lady of the officer. Okay, so Maharaja, thinking she would select 1 or 2 rings and this issue will be patched up. So he thinks and he sends few rings over there, probably more than 50 rings he sends. So what happens over there? A queen actually selects all the rings. She was very happy that the king has sent so many rings, and she takes the whole tray of rings and says, and she tells whoever had brought it to just say thank you, convey thank you to the king. Okay, so now the king had almost lost lakhs together of money because he sent the rings to the queen. Okay, so this is what had happened. So then going further, in 10 years, 70 tigers were killed. Okay, so in 10 years of his rule, 70 tigers were actually killed over there. Okay, so there were so many tigers during that time. Okay, so there were no more tigers in the kingdom at all. So now what will he do? All the tigers in his kingdom were killed. Now there are no more tigers. So what was the idea he used? He thinks of a very great idea. So what does he think? The king wanted to get married now. So he wants to get married, expand his kingdom, and then again hunt the tigers, because he wanted to hunt 100 tigers. Okay, so he wanted to get married and he had few weird conditions. So what is this weird condition? Usually when somebody gets married, they will usually see that the bride or the groom will be very beautiful or handsome, good looking, very helping, understanding. So all this, they have their own the conditions. But this king has a weird idea. What weird idea does he have? What he says is, whomever he is getting married to, okay, that kingdom should have at least 25 tigers. Okay, so the only condition was that, forget about the beauty of that bride. Okay, so he was only concerned about the tiger. So this was the weird condition he put. So finally, somehow he gets married. Okay, so he gets married, he goes, visits the wife's place, and he tells, you stay here for few days, that is in your father's place only, you stay here for few days, I'll visit your place and go back. So why does he do that? Because he had to complete killing that 100 tigers. Okay, so there he gets a count, there are 100 tigers. So what does he do? Every time he goes to visit his wife, he kills tigers and comes back. Then again he goes, visits the wife, goes for hunting, kills the tigers and comes back. So this will be his routine whenever he goes to his wife's place. Okay, so this way he kills 99 tigers. Okay, so 99 tigers they were all killed. Okay, then the last one was pending. Okay, so one last tiger was pending there. Okay, day and night they search for the tiger, but there is no tiger to be found at all. So now what happens? What does he do there? So finally he found one at last. So one tiger was found at last. So one of his ministers finds that this tiger was there in the hilltop, and he actually brings it from this People's Park. Okay, this People Park is in Madras, and this minister brings this tiger from there. How does he bring it? He just puts it, he dumps it into his car and brings it down. Okay, so he brings that tiger from the car. Okay, so it was actually hiding in his house, that is he had kept it in his house. Then the minister takes the tiger in his car and to the place where Maharaja was hunting. Okay, so this Maharaja was hunting, the place where he was hunting. This minister says, yes, I have found a tiger, I'll take you there. He asks that Maharaja to wait in one place, and he says, you can see the tiger over here. He doesn't say that I'm going to bring the tiger, because Maharaja doesn't know that he has already caught the tiger. Okay, so Maharaja was waiting to hunt the tiger, and then this minister brings the tiger, and what happens there? This tiger doesn't get down from the car at all. Okay, so this tiger is not at all getting down from the car. Then finally what happens? He takes the help of his wife and he pushes the tiger from the other end, and they just literally pull the tail of the tiger and they put it out. So finally the tiger is out of the car, and this minister just drives the car with full speed, that Maharaja doesn't get to know that he has brought and placed the tiger over there. Okay, so now Maharaja is very happy, but this tiger was already very tired because of this travel, bringing from there and all. It was already very tired. So this Maharaja was extremely happy and he aims at the tiger. Okay, now what happens? The tiger, even before Maharaja could shoot, the tiger had already fallen down. Okay, so this tiger just collapses. So what happens? Maharaja thinks that because of his shooting only, that tiger had died. Okay, so then what he tells his hunters to pick the tiger from there and bring it to the kingdom, because it is the 100th tiger that should be shown with the great pomp and show, right? So he tells the hunters to bring it back. Later these hunters go and find out that the tiger was not dead. Okay, so that means the 100th tiger is not dead. Then what happens? They just think what to do next. Okay, one of the hunters, what he does, he gets an idea that the king had already gone. He had left the place thinking this tiger is dead. So what he does, he only just aims at the tiger and shoots it off. That means the tiger is not killed by the Maharaja. The Maharaja has killed only 99 tigers. This 100th tiger was killed by one of the hunters. Okay, so now this carcass of the tiger was ordered to be brought in a great procession. So all this great pomp and show happens. So that time he was very happy that I have killed all the 100 tigers. He doesn't know the truth behind it. I have killed all the 100 tigers. Now I am eternal. I am immortal. He thinks, this Maharaja thinks like that. So then it was his son's birthday, Maharaja's son's birthday. Okay, so he was just thinking what to gift this son. Okay, so he was very small. After he killed this 100 tigers, according to him, he goes and brings his wife. Wife had given birth to his son. He brings him back, and his first birthday, he wanted to gift him something. He goes in search of a very good gift for his son. So he searches and searches. He was not able to find any good gift. Finally, he goes to a very small shop that is there in one of the places in his kingdom only. So there he finds a perfect gift for his son. What could he find? He found a wooden tiger there. Okay, owner of this shop tries to please this Maharaja. It was not at all expensive. So the cost of this tiger was very less. But then this person, the owner of this shop, thinks, if I tell such a less rate, Maharaja will think that it is not a very good craftsmanship. So the person who has done it is very trained. He is extremely good at his craftsmanship. He says he sells this thing to Maharaja at a very high rate. Okay, so this is what happens. So then he brings it back to his son. He starts playing with his son with that wooden tiger only. Okay, so that was not actually properly made. The wooden shavings and all, it was like that only. It was not a very good craftsmanship. That did not exhibit good craftsmanship. The person who has done it was actually an amateur. He has not done it properly. So what happens? Maharaja was playing with his son. One of the shavings was of this wood pierced into Maharaja's hand. Okay, so the thumb, that place, it actually gets pierced. Okay, so what would you do if at all a wooden piece or anything just gets pierced? What would you do? You'll just remove it and throw it and continue your work, isn't it? Same thing Maharaja also did. Okay, what happens? He just threw the wooden shaving that was stuck and he started playing. So that time he didn't experience any pain. But what happens? After a couple of days, that is the next day only, this pain started. It actually developed more. Then what happens? It's a kind of pus that was formed over there, and that pain spreads to the whole arm. His whole arm started paining. That was a very small thing which started, and the whole arm started paining. Then what happens? There were surgeons actually who were called from Madras. 3 famous surgeons who were called from Madras. Okay, now Chennai, earlier it was Madras. Okay, so they were called from Madras to treat this Maharaja. It was so severe that he was not able to get up at all. He was bedridden. He was not able to lift his arm also. That was a very minute thing, but now he is worried. Okay. So then the surgeons said that the operation was successful. Okay, so they just checked everything, they operated him, and they also tell that this operation was successful. But what happened? The king died. Why is that? The operation was successful, but the king died. And again, we can note that the astrologer's prediction had come true. The ministers and all, they started getting into this issue. They inquired everybody and asked what is the issue, and when they got to know this, the death was because of this tiger, then they got into the issue of the last tiger. Then they understood, yes, astrologer's prediction had come true. The king had died because of the 100th tiger. Okay, so this is the funny story that we have understood now. Okay, yes, it might be funny, but at the same time, there is a satire that is there in this story. Okay, so what is the satire? What is the theme of this story? It is actually a satire on the powerful kings of the olden times. They used to go hunting just to show their power, isn't it? So that is what they wanted to show. Though they wanted to show their power by hunting animals, they were powerless before the nature. Okay, so what problems nature gives, before that they were actually powerless. So this is the satire. This is the way he mocks the society during the earlier times. Okay, so this is the theme of this story. Yes, we have many new words that are used in this lesson. So first thing we come across is strategic. So strategy is something you do by calculating. Okay, strategics, something that is calculated. Strategic steps, that is calculated steps. Okay. So then we come across Stuka bomber. What is this Stuka bomber? So it's actually a German bomber aircraft. Okay, it's a German bomber aircraft that was used during the Second World War. Okay, so it is very powerful, and just to show how influential this Maharaja was, they have given example there. Okay, the example of Stuka bomber. So even a Stuka bomber would go away. So he was that influential. Okay, so we have indomitable, that is undefeatable. Okay, so person who cannot be defeated is an indomitable person. Okay, so this Tiger King was indomitable is what the author mentions. Then we move on to this transfixed. Okay, so someone who becomes motionless because of that fear, maybe somebody is astonished, or maybe he is very scared or something, just see that and that person is transfixed. Okay, so this is the meaning of that. Then stupefaction, it is shock. Okay, so that's it. Then enunciated, it is just to say something or pronounce something clearly. Okay, so he enunciated the answer, can say. Okay, enunciate means to tell the answer clearly. Then we have rife, something that is widespread or something that is present during that time. Okay, so that's it. Then we have hindsight. So to understand every situation only after it has happened. Okay, so forethought, hindsight. Okay, so that can be considered as opposites. Okay, I just gave you this forethought example in order to understand the meaning of this hindsight. Okay, after it has happened, you understand the after effects of the situation. Okay, that means without thinking you act, and then only you can have this hindsight. Okay, then tuft is a bunch of collection of threads or grass or hair or whatever. Okay, when you comb your hair, you get the tuft that comes out of your head. Okay, so tuft means it's a collection, it's a lump also, you can say. Okay, so that is tuft. Okay, then incoherent, something which is confusing, something which is not in order. Okay, suppose you say your essay is it has coherent idea. That means the flow of idea is very clear, it is in order. Okay, something which is confusing, when you write an essay, we say the idea has to be coherent, means from one para to another para when you go, the flow of ideas should be continuous. It should not have a break in between, so that you start feeling that missing. Okay, you should not feel that. That's why we say it should be coherent, and here it is incoherent, means which is unclear, which is not at all clear there. Okay, next, fling is to throw. I fling something means I threw something. Okay, he just flung. Fling, flung is the past tense. He flung the pencil means he threw the pencil, like that. Okay, so then we have confiscated. Confiscated means to grab, to take it with authority. Means I confiscate some mobile phone when you are using in the classroom. Okay, to take with authority, I just grab it so that I will not give it back to you because you are not doing right. Okay, that is confiscate, and these things you need to concentrate, Durai and Duraisani. Okay, Durai is a Tamil word for chief or a leader or a king also you can call. Okay, Duraisani is the name for the wife of the chief. Fine. Then we have this carcass. Okay, carcass is the dead body of an animal. Okay, for a human it is called as a dead body only. If we say for animal, it is carcass. Okay, so relented, that is relaxed, his decision. So he relented his words, means whatever decision he had taken, he just relaxed it. Maybe he gave some exceptions. Okay, so some exceptions might be there, so that is called as relaxation of the decision. Then we have deliberation. Deliberation means discussion. Let us deliberate about this issue. If I say let us discuss about this issue is the meaning of it. So that is deliberation. Then we have harakiri. Harakiri is a ritual of suicide that is practiced in Japan. It's a word from Japanese. It's a word that means it's a suicidal attempt. So that is the practice over there. Okay. So next we have few more here. It is adorn. Adorn means to decorate. Okay, so you know the bride will be adorned by flowers. So that is decorated. Then we have fever pitch, means extreme. Fever, you usually have it the high level, temperature will rise. So that way it is extreme. So in order to mean extreme, we use this word fever pitch. Then we have savage, which is uncontrolled. It grows savagely, means it grows in an uncontrolled way. Okay, very, to be very cautious, very careful. Being very careful is nothing but being wary. Then dispelled, to remove. Okay, so dispelled, that wooden shaving what he dispels. So that is what is the meaning here. Wantonly, to be very careless, to work very carelessly. So that is wantonly. Then we have flout, to go against something or someone. It is used here as to meaning being to go against something, to oppose somebody. Okay, so that is the actual meaning of it. Then we have obstinacy, means firmness. You have your decision and you are very firm about it. So that is called as obstinacy. Okay, so that is firmness. Then we have haul, pull or drag with effort or force. So this comes when the tiger is being dragged from the car. Okay, so that is haul. You also can use it when you're talking about pulling the trigger of the pistol or gun or something like that. Okay, so we have few more here, that is supplication, to pray. Okay, so people were praying for the speedy recovery of Maharaja. Okay, so that is supplication. Then we have slivers, that is wooden shaving, you can say. Okay, so any shaving you can call it as shaving only, but when it comes to wooden shaving, you can call it as sliver. Okay, then at last we have suppurating, a wound full of pus. Okay, some wound that has lot of pus in it, it spreads to your body. Okay, it increases in size, so that is called as a suppurating wound. Okay, so these are the new words that are used over here. Okay, so we have come to the end of this session. We have understood the summary of this lesson, the Tiger King. Okay, so yes, this was a very funny story. This was a wonderful story. Even I enjoyed reading it. I would want you also to enjoy reading it, and you will understand many new words also. Apart from this, there are many new words, but these are the most difficult ones. Okay, so yes, I want you to go through the story and come prepared for the class. Let us discuss about the story as well as the question answers when we come to the live class. So keep learning, just come prepared with a book and your pencil so that I can clarify your doubts then and there only. Okay, so let us meet again in our next class. Till then, keep learning, stay safe, bye-bye.